Good morning again. Well, do you realize that we have finished the book of Exodus? So we've done Genesis and Exodus. Aren't you proud of yourselves? If you've been following me along. So now we go to Leviticus. We're in the book of Leviticus. And God is with his people. He's dwelling in the tabernacle, and he's among them. But they are such an unruly lot. They just keep forgetting God. They get angry. They get upset. They're just an awful bunch of people. And this has been going on for years. Well, now they're getting a little closer to the border of Canaan, the land that God had promised to their family of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But there was a guy, what was his name? I knew it, Korah, that's it, Korah. He wasn't happy with the administration or the temple, and he was jealous. He said, hey, I'm from the tribe of Levi, just like Moses and Aaron are. How come I didn't get picked? How come nobody voted for me to vote these guys out and let me come in? And it was getting to look a lot like Washington, D.C. It was becoming so political with things. And God was really upset because God was the one who was the leader of everything and telling Moses what to do. And Moses had set up the different things to do. And Aaron carried them out, but Korah. And then Korah got a bunch of people to agree with him. And they were murmuring and complaining. And you know what God did? Where Korah and his people were standing, God just opened up the earth and swallowed them up. That's what happened to them. They fell down into this big crack into the earth and fell in on them, and that was the end of them, buried alive. And we need to be careful with what we say and how we feel, and not let hatred get in the way of following God. Well, that was one big awful thing that happened. Now we're in Leviticus, and Leviticus has so many, it's like going to a board meeting and you're really bored, but I'm sure that, it had a lot of important things in it, but that's the book of Leviticus. But I've got to tell you about one more thing before I let you go. Well, I'm past I got 4 minutes. Okay. One more thing. The people that were left, they started to murmur and complain, and they were getting closer and closer all the time to Canaan. And here's another beautiful picture of Jesus. It's just wonderful. Moses was so sick and tired of their complaining. God had provided for them through so many things, and yet they complained about the minutia of things. And you know what God did? He sent a bunch of, I call them rattlesnakes, but it says he sent a bunch of snakes into the camp, and they had a fiery sting, a fiery bite. Venomous snakes, rattlesnakes basically, and they started biting the people, and the people were screaming and yelling and getting up off the ground if they had blankets or something. Snakes, and they were venomous with the fangs. And a lot of the people were getting sick, going into convulsions. They were dying. they said, "Stop, Moses, tell God to stop this." Well, Moses was told by the Lord. The Lord told him how to stop this. And he said, "I want you to fashion, or have your brother Aaron do it, but I want you," he seemed to be the artisan. Remember, he did the golden calf long before he recommitted his life back to the Lord. And so anyway, Moses, he fashioned a snake out of brass. And he had a big, tall wooden pole. And he fastened that snake on the pole. And then God told him to hold it up. He was high on a hill. And he held it up. And whoever looked upon that snake would be healed. And those who believed Moses looked at it, and they were healed. Oh, what a picture of Jesus Christ. A snake? Yes, a snake. Because Satan is called a serpent and a snake right from Genesis, from the very beginning of time. And Satan has bitten us with a venomous thing called sin. And we've been bitten. All of us have been bitten by it. And Jesus, in the New Testament, before he went to the cross and he was talking to his disciples about going to the cross, he says, "Even as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, even so must I be lifted up, that I can draw all men unto me." For the healing of sin, the healing of our sin bite. Jesus compared himself to the snake because the Bible says God has made Jesus to become sin for us, even though he knew no sin, that we might become the righteousness of God, be healed. That's 2 Corinthians 5:21. But even before that, Jesus said, even though, that was Paul that said that, but in the Gospels before Paul, he warned them, he said, "Even as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, so must I be lifted up for the healing of the nations." And what a picture of Christ being lifted up on the cross. And whoever looked at that snake out in the wilderness was healed. Oh, there's Jesus again. And like I say, Numbers gets to be a lot of business work, and Leviticus. And I'm going to try and skip and just hit some high stories in that. You can read the rest for yourself if you want. Bye-bye.